you're eating a burger that someone threw out because it tasted like shit because you're hungry. Okay? There's no difference. Just embrace the memery. Embrace the fact that you're dumpster diving like a homeless man. Okay? That's what crypto is. Now, as well, people, it's another example. People will continue to mid-curve memes, but in reality, right, they're the highest volume asset class on most blockchains, right? Look at what is the number one top trending coin on Base consistently. It's Toshi, which is a fucking cat coin. They have most of the mind share. Right? What coin do most people talk about on Base? Toshi, Mochi. They got no utility. What do you even use it for? Nothing. What did I use Mochi for this week? To mint Mochimon NFTs. I used one useless asset to get more of another useless asset. What a great use case. No utility. Financial vehicle for social capital. Like we just said, crypto coins are all about social trading. So what is the point of, a coin? It's just to capture the attention through monetary demand of a certain trend, right? You've never been able to bet on memes before in terms of monetary, right? And then Dogecoin came along, and the meme of fucking dogs on the internet, you could now speculate on. You could buy a dog coin to speculate on the growth of a certain meme related to Doge, right? If more people talk about dogs in the sense of Doge, the price would go up. If less people talk about it, it goes down. It's a financial vehicle for trading social trends. Okay? Now, what else we got? Either left curves, the analysis, or right curves. So, when I do analysis, it's either like weeks and weeks of looking into it, or like 30 seconds, I've made a decision. Because if you spend if you try to do it in the middle, like these guys, right, where they do 2 hours of research, you're not moving quick enough that you can rely on intuition, but you're not spending enough time that you actually came up with a good thesis, right? Right? You spent 1 hour, put it all into ChatGPT, spat it out, dog shit, right? If he would have spent 10 seconds, he would have been just as prepared as him spending 3 hours, right? But if he spent 30 hours, he probably would have found out this project's dog shit, and he probably would have bought something else. So, yeah, when you're, in level 3, you do either side of the curve, right? Of the IQ curve, right? The IQ curve looks like this, right? You want to be on this side or on this side? I just drew a penis, I just realized. Anyway, understands it's all about sales and marketing. Do I have a photo for this? Yes, here we go. So, I think I put this in one of the fundamental videos, but I want to bring it up again. Crypto is a PvP brutal game where a minority win at the expense of a gullible majority, while the game works to deceive the participants about what is going on. To make you think it's about finding great tech, great companies, that their success is yours, or that you're early to some dog shit. This is why tech people, especially people who work for crypto in the industry, such as devs, do so poorly at investing, because the devs focus on this. They are masters of the 10%, but they're shit for 90%, right? If you submit an assignment in school and you aced the conclusion, do you think you're going to get a good grade if you just wrote a really compelling conclusion? No. You're going to get a 1 or a 2 out of 10, and you're going to get a pat on the back because she probably thinks you're a retard, right? Congratulations, buddy. You wrote a nice conclusion, right? Keep it up. If you actually do fundamental analysis properly in crypto sense, you consider everything. You consider all the memery, all the flows, all the marketing, the tokenomics, the pumpermentals. You consider everything. And it doesn't matter if you're a dev or you're not a dev, you still have to consider this stuff, okay? The devs sit on their moral high ground thinking that tech matters, as if it's like the only thing that you use. No. MakerDAO is an amazing project, and it's one of the worst performing crypto assets. And all the tech geeks love it because they think that the tech is important. MakerDAO, it's such an amazing innovation, a completely decentralized stablecoin that doesn't rely on US dollar backing to hold its peg. Blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. right? Oh, the MakerDAO token has billions of dollars has billions of US dollars or something put into bonds, so that it's actually one of the largest revenue. Has one of the largest revenues in crypto, and some of it's returned to the holders of the token. Some bullshit like that, right, is another thing that they say. I don't understand it completely. Don't quote me if I'm wrong, but something like that they'll say, and the token doesn't go up. The token barely performs. In a bear market, when people only care about the green part, right? In bear markets, this part is actually important, right? The green part actually becomes like 50%. Right? Because in bear markets, people care about tech and all that sort of stuff. But in bull markets, because everyone's an idiot and it's all new investors and it's all a scam, they really care about the orange part. Okay? So like MakerDAO might be a good project in the next bear market. It was probably a good token for a short period of time during the bear market. But, like for example, GMX was a great performing project during the bear market. It was a bear market special, and now the bull market's happening and it's not really performing very well. Let me actually show you GMX. So, for example, GMX, where is it? In the bear market has been going well, right? It's held up, and then the market starts pumping later in the bull trend. People start to think the bull market's back. No one cares about fundamentals anymore. They care about narratives, and then you start seeing shit like Toshi. I don't think Toshi's on here. You start seeing stuff like OXO pop up and go crazy, okay? So they don't understand that it's a set marketing and sales game. The entire game that is going on now began in 2016, discovered on accident by marketeers who realized nerds are stupid, and they can use the intelligence of these nerds, who actually are very intelligent a lot of the time, and their ideas of their own intelligence against them, to make money in one of the best schemes of the last 50 years. So think about it, right? All these coins, they put a bunch of really smart people together. You put a big marketing team behind a really smart, geeky guy who talks all about blockchain and, how it's going to peer-to-peer electronic cash, all this shit, right? And then, this coin goes ballistic. All these retail investors buy it. All the people behind the team make tons and tons of money. The tech guy was famoosed into thinking that he was changing the world. And then the coin crashes and the whole thing fails. And then he's like, oh, what have I been doing? Like, what did I do this for? And then they feel bad. That's sort of like how a lot of these coins are. It's just, the actual tech guys have great intentions, but the marketers don't have good intentions because they're in it for money. Whereas these really OG tech guys who were back around in 2013, 15, 14, their intentions are a lot more pure and positive sum than these marketers who it's a much more zero sum or negative sum game. Okay. Now, another thing is, understanding the game is to speculate on others' speculation. So you don't, like, for example, over here, this guy's fundamental analysis, he's giving you the project's pitch for why he buys. Whereas what you have to do is you have to give the pitch for why other people are going to buy. So your speculation is on other people's speculation. Your speculation is not on what the project wants you to think, right? So when you're a level 3 investor, you're speculating on other people's speculation. Now, again, building a thesis fully independently that the market either has no clue on or only a few early pros. So when I talk about Toshi, right, all the stuff I keep quoting about Toshi, I won't repeat myself. A lot of that I was the first person to talk about, or I had ran the idea by my friend who works at Coinbase, who gave me, I'm not going to say insider information, but information that a very, 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 very small amount of the market understood and knew about what was likely to happen in the future. Coinbase, moving everyone to Base, right? That flow of capital. A lot of that thesis came from my conversations with this guy and some of the documents that Base had created, going on an overview of what their plan was, for how they were going to get users. And because that information was not known by anyone else in the market, I had an edge in understanding what these people would understand in the future, right? Imagine you could go back a day and buy today. Sorry, imagine if you could go back to tomorrow knowing what happens the next day. You'd be able to make money because you would just do what you know is going to happen. The same thing happens here. If I know, excuse me, oh, raw cuts, no edits. If I know information that the market will know later on that will make them buy from me at a higher price, then it's essentially the same thing as time travel, right? So the better that you're able to time travel, the more money you're going to make. And eventually you get to a point where you build theses based on information that is so alpha packed, not insider trading, but like, just information that the market doesn't understand, where you literally are like a fucking god from the future. You're like a messiah who just has the power to manipulate time. That is like when you're a really good investor, when you're really good at doing fundamental analysis. And that's why in this course we talk about second and third order consequences, right? If I drop this water bottle on the floor, what does that cause? And then what does that cause? If I drop these AirPods and the case opens and then the AirPods go everywhere, there's like cause and effect. There's action and consequence. With markets, if Base has all the users from Coinbase, what does that do? Well, they all buy probably Toshi. What does that do? Well, the price goes up. What does that do? Well, they probably buy Mochi as a catch-up play. Well, what does that do? Well, they probably buy the Mochi NFTs as another catch-up play, right? Cause and effect. Second and third order and fourth order consequences, right? And that's essentially the same as seeing the future. Looking multiple steps ahead, knowing that, okay, at 5 p.m., this will happen. At 6 p.m., this will happen because it was caused by that, blah, 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 blah. And last but not least, the focus of someone who is at level 3 is really in like capturing the asymmetric upside of crypto. So you're always asking yourself, what's the downside, what's the upside, right? When these guys buy, right, these two, there's no consideration for the downside, there's no consideration for the upside. They say once it might go to $1.50, but based on what? What? Basically, is this his analysis? It peaked here, so maybe it'll go back there, right? There's no consideration for the downside. When you're in investing, you don't use a stop loss. You use a thesis instead, right? The invalidation of a thesis is your stop loss. So in trading, you say, if price gets to here, I sell. In investing, you say, off the chart, if the thesis is invalidated, I sell, right? So when you're looking for asymmetric upside, what you want is this much downside if things go wrong, and this much upside if things go right. So that if you do this 10 times in a row, and you win twice, right? So you have a 20% win rate, right? Times 20%. Let's imagine this is 10, right? 10 win for one risk, right? You win 20%, so you do the math there, you're in a profit. If you just kept implementing this system with these numbers, you make money. In trading, it is this mathematical, but in investing, it is much more, is the word qualitative? I'm pretty sure quantitative is numbers, qualitative is more like subjective. It's more qualitative. I hope I'm right there. So yeah, they're focused on the asymmetry of the upside, right? And this is a funny meme. Doing your own research enables the most conviction. So yeah, if you just copy what someone else does or says, that belief was not your own. And if you couldn't come to it yourself, it's not a belief that you're going to fully believe in, right? Think about how much more conviction you have in your ideas versus other people's. When it's something that you truly internalize and you understand in its full depth, it doesn't matter how well you convey it to someone else, they will never have the same conviction in it as you do because they do not have all the connections that you do, right? When you understand something, it's like a connection of all these different patterns and neurons and all this shit, right? And then you try to explain the pattern to someone, but you can only capture this. So this conviction is very different from this conviction because this conviction was actually built with a ton of depth, and this was just very surface level. Doesn't matter how good you are at speaking, you can't completely transfer this